I think it should be fine. Hello. I'm Mayowa. I work on cross-disciplinary research and implementation here at Aditu. I'm also the founder. So this is intended as a follow-up video to one I previously posted on the company YouTube page and shared on the social media platforms. So essentially, that video was talking about an approach to solving a number of problems that involved, let's just do some writing. Okay, so one of the problems was sanitation. Let's write this here. Another problem was environmental sustainability issues. Yeah, so and then the third issue had to do with socioeconomic problems. I realize the font is kind of small, but I don't know, hopefully it's not a serious issue. And then through the course of the video, I outlined a possible way to tackle these three problems. And that approach involved collecting used plastics. So just like going, like if you watch the previous video, you kind of understand all of the context that's behind all of this. So I think to say to, so this video doesn't end up being so long, I shouldn't reiterate things I've already talked about in the other video and stuff. So yeah, the approach involved collecting used plastics, exporting these plastics, and then because of the situation with the exchange rates, for example, that video I was talking like in the context of Nigeria, and then I showed that recycling plastics internationally, like recycling plastics in some other countries, was up to 100 times thereabouts, 100 times more, like it had 100 times more financial return than local recycling, and that had to do with like the exchange rate and stuff. So that was the essential idea. You collect used plastics from somewhere in Nigeria, export them elsewhere, export these plastics, and then recycle outside the country. And even if it's used plastics, it's not like, I don't know, gold or something, but like just as if, because due to the exchange rates, the disparity in like the relative value of the two concerned currencies, just international recycling would be found to be considerably more to lead to considerably more revenue than trying to do it locally. And at the end of the video, I outlined the challenges that this approach implied, or like, challenges involving like, taking the next step with that. And the one major challenge I outlined was had to do with legal complications. There are laws that govern, or that like have a say on what sorts of plastics you can transport from what countries to what countries and how that can be done. All of that is like legal stuff. A number of other issues with like this approach outlined where like hopefully you can see, hopefully what I'm writing is visible. Where like come on, are these bottles going to be clean, all of that, but I think those are relatively minor issues compared to the legal complications. So I thought, what do I do? I'm not a lawyer, and I realized I needed like the help of legal experts. So I reached out to just for some, background information. I mean, I think this is just a general like video about things that have been happening at Aditu, so I should just like feel free to just talk about stuff. One of the projects we're working on has to do with applying AI technology, artificial intelligence technology, towards problems involving language endangerment and extinction. So there are a lot of languages spoken in the world. People, like most people actually speak just a few, like 2 to 3%, I think, of most languages, and most of the languages in the world are spoken by, relatively few people. And on the more extreme end of this spectrum, some languages are going to be without speakers, without any living speakers at all in the near future. And so that project had to do with figuring out ways AI could help alleviate or possibly eradicate such problems. For anyone interested, you can feel free to can go through like the YouTube channel, go through the website, go through the social media pages. If you're just really interested, if this sounds really interesting to you and you just like to get more information. Yeah, so in the course of that project, you're starting a project, you send like applications upon applications upon applications, and then most of the time you get rejected, but every once in a while something seems to kind of work, and then an opportunity opens up. So in the course of that project, I was awarded a cloud computing grant from Microsoft under the Microsoft AI for Earth program. It's this program that aims to support like individuals and organizations and academic institutions who are trying to figure out ways to apply AI technology towards just improving the Earth somehow. The program focuses on issues like environmental sustainability, food, water, climate change, stuff like that. So I was awarded a cloud computing grant under that program. It was actually super cool. I was giving like $15,000 in, but not cash, in cloud computing credits. So that means I could use Microsoft's computers, Microsoft's like big, bulky, like supercomputers, for free to a considerable extent. Because like if I had to pay for all of that cloud computing power, I'd have had to pay like $15,000. But thanks to the grant, I didn't have to go through all of that. So how does that relate to this? The Microsoft AI for the Microsoft AI for Earth program is pretty cool, and like there's like a nice community where we've got like pretty dedicated engineers at Microsoft who are putting a lot of effort into like supporting the grantees and like just helping them out whenever they have like questions about like Microsoft's platform. So how do I do this? How do I do that? Like they've been super helpful. Another thing that's really cool about that program is that like they also give information that might be helpful. Like, oh, hey guys, check out, there's this program being operated by this institution that might be of interest to you guys. Check this out, you might find it useful. So one of the resources they talked about in that program in the community was Stanford Law School's Lawyers for a Sustainable Economy program. So that's another program being run by Stanford Law School. And what it aims to do is to support NGOs and like for-profit companies who are working in things like environmental sustainability. So that program helps these such parties out with like pro bono legal support. So say you're operating a program having to do with something in environmental sustainability or sustainability generally, and you need legal advice, you need legal support. If you want to hire like a lawyer or the services of a law firm, that's going to involve a considerable expense. But under that program, you could get access to legal resources, to lawyers and law firms without having to pay any actual money. I think it's a super cool program. And in the course of like this endeavor, when I came upon this issue involving the legal complications of international, plastic transportation, I thought, why not, reach out to Stanford Law School and see if they could help out with some support with regard to this issue. So I went to like the website. I filled the form where you talk about, this is why I'm sending this, this is what I need help with, stuff like that. Not long after, someone got in touch with me, someone from Stanford Law School. Her name is Molly. She's pretty nice. And we scheduled like a video chat, and then we talked, hey, we're trying to do this and this and this and this, and there's some issues, like there's a lot of legal stuff. I'm not a lawyer, I don't know anything about law, and I need support. Like, we need support. Aditu needs support with this. And she was like, okay, cool, great, this is what we do, this is why this program was set up. And then she was like, okay, cool, I'll get in touch with a number of law firms that we work with, and we'll see if any of them is currently available and interested in helping out with this issue. So I was like, okay, good. Not long after, she was like, hey, there's this law firm that's interested, and they would like to meet and speak with you, and then you can carry on from there. I was like, great. Some like actual lawyers are going to take on the issues with this, because like I'm not a lawyer, I don't know jack about law. What am I going to like? But so at some point, some lawyers got in touch with me, and they were from, I think I should write down the name of some of these programs, because like they've been super helpful. And like, if this ends up being some sort of additional publicity, however number of people watch this video, I think it's cool. So initially I was talking about the Microsoft AI for Earth program that helped with cloud computing, like a cloud computing grant. And then I also mentioned the Stanford Law School's, Stanford Law School. Hopefully all of this is visible. It's the Lawyers for a Sustainable Economy program. It's super cool. So a number of lawyers got in touch with me. There were two, and they were from this law firm. The name is hold on, man, the marker is going dry. Wow, I'm just going to have to talk then. They're from this law firm. The name is Gray LLP, I believe. And they're like, hey, Stanford Law School got in touch with us, said you're working on this stuff and then you needed some help. Would you like to have a video chat soon and stuff? So we scheduled and we discussed. And then like over the course of the video call, we talked about stuff, and like I just outlined all of the issues we were facing at the time. And then they were like, okay, cool, give us a couple weeks and then we'll get back to you with a report. And after a number of weeks, they did. So going back to the original idea, the idea was to collect plastics from, say, Nigeria, transport them to, say, Germany. In Germany, you can recycle plastics and get like some sort of financial return. And then with the whole exchange rate, I explained all of this in the previous video. And so, by the way, the idea, why getting like a higher financial returns for recycling is important is because those returns are intended to serve as an incentive for people in Nigeria, or like in the part of Nigeria that this program is aimed towards. It's supposed to be, the financial returns are supposed to serve as an incentive for those people to recycle in the first place. For example, like I don't exactly see why people around here would be so motivated to collect their used plastics and return them for recycling if they're not going to get paid for it. And like local recycling pays so little that people generally don't pay attention to it. So if it's possible to recycle internationally, there'll be a higher financial reward for collecting your plastics and returning them for recycling. That was the essential idea. But then Ropes and Gray got back to me like, hey, we've conducted we've done our findings, you know, as actual as actual lawyers. They went through, like, you know, the German laws and stuff, and like the laws of, you know, the countries I was thinking of transporting some of these plastics to. I think one of the categorizations they used was like the OECD countries, you know, so all this legal stuff, and then they've got like laws that apply to the countries in that category, stuff like that. So they got back in touch with me, and they said they sent me a report, and I went through the report, and I realized their findings invalidated a fundamental premise in the arguments, the essential arguments in this like approach. 1 second. All right, yeah. So I realized the findings. Like, you know, just okay. So a fundamental, as I was saying, the essential argument behind that whole endeavor was that the plastic bottles. Let me draw a bottle here. Say this is a bottle. The fundamental argument was that this bottle itself, in itself, has value, and that we could redeem this bottle internationally for a particular amount that which corresponds to the value of this bottle. But from the findings, you know, of the law firm, I realized that the amount the government in, say, Germany will pay you for returning a used plastic bottle, that amount of money was not indicative of the value of that bottle. So say I go to like a reverse vending machine, or, you know, like it's some sort of like plastic collection point or plastic recycling unit. I return a bottle, and then I'm given, say, 10 cents. It doesn't mean the bottle is worth 10 cents. It just means the government is so reluctant to have these bottles just be thrown about in the environment that they're willing to give you 10 cents for it. Essentially, it's not like the bottle in itself is worth 10 cents. It's more because the government does not want these bottles to hang out in the environment. And, like, you know, I mean, there's some other legal stuff behind it. For example, like it's a deposit refund, and so it's not like they're paying for the it's a number of, you know, legal stuff that I'm not sure how necessary it is to go into here. But essentially, that was the issue. If you return a bottle for recycling in Germany and you're given 10 cents, how do you write the euro? Oh my god. Hopefully that's 10 euro cents. It doesn't mean this bottle is worth this. It just means you have a government that is very, very determined to retrieve these bottles after use. And so the idea of exporting bottles just falls apart because it's not like you're redeeming the value of the bottles. And the law with, I hope I'm really explaining this effectively. I hope anyone watching can get this. And the law there is that, like, it's not even like all bottles. Like when these plastic products are made, they have like some sort of a brand or some sort of a tag, and then you get refunded some money when you return those specific bottles. So if I get bottles, a bunch of random bottles from, say, Lagos, Nigeria, and I take them to Berlin with the intention of recycling under the same scheme, it's not going to work because those bottles are not tagged. I think that's probably an easier way to explain it. It's not very comprehensive, but it's easier to understand, and because it doesn't talk about the reasons why, underlying all of that. So essentially, taking bottles from Lagos here to Germany for recycling under that specific program is not going to work, because wherever you're recycling the bottles, I think the machine scans for a particular tag specific to some bottles in Germany, and so it's just not going to work. And so that meant that the entire scheme, well, not the entire thing, but that specific approach to international recycling of used plastics was invalid. Well, it was not going to work. And it's super good that we that feedback was obtained in time, but it's not like we would have gone ahead if we had very little knowledge of what was ahead, what was in front, what was ahead. But it was really super good to get that feedback and that perspective to know, okay, this is not going to work. So again, huge appreciation to Stanford Law School and their Lawyers for a Sustainable Economy. The law firm they got to work with us has been super helpful in helping us refine our strategy and stuff. So what do we do now? We had there were all of these problems, and then there was this approach. Okay, you could do this, and you could figure out solutions. So all of these problems had to go. But it turns out that approach is not going to work. So what's the next step? I began to think and wonder, okay, what do we do now? And I was doing some reading online, and I was also just thinking about some ideas. And I realized it's possible, at least some people have figured out a way to convert used plastics. Some people have figured out a way to convert used plastic into ink for 3D printers. I just Googled this. I was like, is this a thing? This would be really cool if it exists. I Googled it and I was like, wow, some people have figured this out. This is great. So apparently it's possible to convert used plastics by heating and melting and all of that into ink for 3D printers. And then with and so I thought, okay, this is cool. What's the next step? I'm still thinking about how to move forward. But one possible approach is to convert these plastics, used plastics, into 3D printer ink, and then with this ink 3D print objects that have some sort of value, or that perform some sort of function. Something, let me just say, a valuable product. So if you can print a valuable product with this ink gotten from used plastics and sell internationally, why? So there's still enough financial return to incentivize people, so people are still going to get paid enough for recycling plastics that they'll be motivated to do it. So this is the general idea. Right now, we've had to re-strategize given the information we got from the legal experts. So this is the current plan. To make it a bit more specific, we can put these products up for sale on e-commerce platforms. say, I don't know, Amazon, eBay, and then highlight that these products were like 3D printed out of recycled plastics. I don't know how much of a market there is for products like that right now. I know there's a lot of awareness on environmental sustainability. I think there's this international COP conference that has been holding. So I know there's awareness. So I don't know how much influence that'll have on the addressable market with regard to this. But I think it's an interesting idea. Again, I don't know who scrolls Amazon being like, I'm only going to buy stuff that's made out of recycled plastic, and I'm looking for environmentally sustainable products because I'm so I don't know, but we'll see. I guess we'll see. So this is the current plan: use plastics into 3D printer ink, and then with the 3D printer, print valuable products. Place these products up on e-commerce platforms so people can purchase them internationally, and so that provides enough incentive for people to collect these plastics for recycling. So that's the intended loop, and we'll see how things go, I guess. Next steps now involve a number of things. There's some machines that these guys use. So the people who came up with this idea, or one group of people that I'm aware of, there's this research lab at Michigan Tech University in the US, I believe that's the name. So they've got this sustainability lab where they do really cool stuff. So they've got this bot that converts used plastics into 3D printer ink. Aditu is going to have to, get at least one of those bots. Next, we'll also have to get a 3D printer. We get the stuff that converts the plastic to the 3D printer ink, like the filaments and stuff, and then you get the 3D printer that prints this. We put this up on a number of platforms and then see what happens from there. I think it's an interesting approach. Looks like it's got some potential. How much potential exactly? I guess we'll see how things go. So this will involve incurring some expenses, and incurring expenses in the course of acting out a yet unproven business model. I don't know how that is going to play out, but I guess we'll see. So this feels like an interesting idea. It still leverages the essential strategy in the original approach, which was figuring out a way to trade used plastics internationally. And this international trade, is intended to imply financial revenue that's enough to motivate people to collect these used plastics in the first place. So that's the current state of things. We'll see how things go. I believe I'll be providing further updates in the future. So thank you. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully this was interesting to watch. Hopefully you learned a number of things. Hopefully this also provided some information about about Aditu and about some of the work that happens here, some of the stuff that's going on here. If you're interested in just reaching out, feel free to reach out. We've got a contact email. You can reach out via the YouTube page, via social media. We're very open to feedback, or just anyone expressing any sort of interest. Just feel free. So thank you very much again for watching. Till next time, I guess.